habitable room is defined as a room or space intended for living, sleeping, cooking, or dining. It typically includes bedrooms, living rooms, family rooms, dining rooms, and kitchens. All habitable rooms must have at least one switched electrical outlet accessible from the permanent floor and within 12 inches of the finished floor. This outlet is intended for lighting fixtures and portable appliances. All habitable rooms must have at least one smoke detector installed outside each sleeping area and within 10 feet of the bedroom door. Smoke detectors must be interconnected and permanently attached to the electrical system. Areas not considered habitable rooms and may not require a switched outlet or smoke detector include bathrooms, closets, storage rooms, garages, and basements unless they are finished and used as living space. The requirements for switched outlets and smoke detectors in habitable rooms are based on safety considerations. Switched outlets allow for the safe operation of lighting fixtures and appliances, preventing electrical cords from becoming tripping hazards. Smoke detectors provide early warning of smoke and fire, allowing occupants to evacuate safely. By adhering to these requirements, building owners and occupants can create habitable spaces that are both comfortable and safe. The International Building Code and the National Fire Protection Association provide the basis for these requirements. Considering electrical outlets, firstly, the requirement for a switched outlet near the floor is intended to provide a convenient and safe way to control lighting and power small appliances. The location near the floor helps prevent long cords from running across the room, which can be a tripping hazard. The switch allows occupants to easily turn on or off lights or appliances without having to reach for a wall switch or pull a plug. Secondly, focusing on smoke detectors, the placement of smoke detectors outside sleeping areas and within 10 feet of bedroom doors is crucial for early fire detection. Most residential fires occur at night when people are sleeping. Placing smoke detectors in these locations ensures that occupants are alerted as quickly as possible, providing them with valuable time to escape. The interconnection of smoke detectors means that if one detector senses smoke, all detectors in the house will sound an alarm, further increasing the chances of a timely evacuation. The permanent attachment to the electrical system ensures that the smoke detectors are always powered, even during a power outage, as they typically have a battery backup. Now let's address exceptions to habitable room requirements. Bathrooms, closets, storage rooms, garages, and unfinished basements are generally not considered habitable rooms because they are not primarily used for living, sleeping, cooking, or dining. These spaces may have different requirements for electrical outlets and smoke detectors, depending on their specific use and the local building codes. For example, a bathroom may require a ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI outlet near the sink to prevent electrical shock, while a garage may require a smoke detector if it is attached to the house. In an unfinished basement, smoke detectors might not be mandatory unless the space is used for sleeping or other living purposes. When assessing whether a space qualifies as a habitable room, consider the following factors. Firstly, its intended use. What is the primary purpose of the room? Is it designed for living, sleeping, cooking, or dining? Secondly, its features. Does the room have the necessary amenities for its intended use, such as heating, ventilation, and lighting? Thirdly, building codes. What are the specific requirements for habitable rooms in the local building code? To elaborate on switched electrical outlets, the requirement that the outlet be accessible from the permanent floor and within 12 inches of the finished floor is intended to make it easy for occupants to reach the switch without having to bend over or use a stool. This is particularly important for people with mobility issues. The switched outlet is typically wired to a light fixture, such as a lamp or overhead light, but it can also be used to power other small appliances. It is important to note that the outlet must be a standard electrical outlet, not a special purpose outlet such as a 220 volts outlet. It is critical to understand the requirements for smoke detectors. Smoke detectors must meet certain standards to ensure that they are reliable and effective. These standards are typically set by organizations such as Underwriters Laboratories, AL. Smoke detectors must be tested and certified to meet these standards before they can be sold or installed. In addition to meeting these standards, smoke detectors must also be properly installed and maintained. They should be installed according to the manufacturer's instructions and tested regularly to ensure that they are working properly. It is also important to replace the batteries in smoke detectors at least once a year, or more often if necessary. In summary, habitable rooms are defined as rooms or spaces intended for living, sleeping, cooking, or dining. These rooms must meet certain requirements for switched electrical outlets and smoke detectors to ensure the safety of occupants. The requirements are based on safety considerations, such as preventing electrical shock and providing early warning of fire. By adhering to these requirements, building owners and occupants can create habitable spaces that are both comfortable and safe. Building codes and regulations are in place to ensure that all habitable rooms meet minimum safety standards. These codes are typically developed and enforced by local governments, such as cities and counties. Building inspectors are responsible for inspecting buildings to ensure that they comply with these codes. If a building does not meet the code requirements, the owner may be required to make changes to bring it into compliance. Building codes are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and safety concerns. It is important for building owners and occupants to stay up to date on the latest codes and regulations. The rationale behind the requirements for switched outlets and smoke detectors in habitable rooms is rooted in historical fire safety practices and the evolving understanding of human behavior during emergencies. Switched outlets, located near the floor, were initially intended to replace the use of overhead lighting controlled by pull chains or wall-mounted switches that were less accessible, especially in older homes. By placing the switch near the floor, occupants could easily control lighting without having to reach or fumble in the dark, reducing the risk of trips and falls. The emphasis on smoke detectors stem from studies showing that most residential fires occur at night, and occupants are often unaware of the fire until it is too late. Smoke detectors provide an early warning, giving occupants valuable time to escape. The placement of smoke detectors outside sleeping areas is based on the understanding that smoke rises and spreads quickly, so detectors placed in these locations can detect smoke before it reaches the bedrooms. The interconnection of smoke detectors is intended to ensure that all occupants are alerted, even if they are in different parts of the house. The requirement for permanent attachment to the electrical system with battery backup is intended to ensure that the smoke detectors are always powered, even during a power outage. Let's examine the differences between the International Building Code and the National Fire Protection Association. The International Building Code, (IC), is a model building code developed by the International Code Council, (IC). It is a comprehensive set of regulations that cover all aspects of building construction, including fire safety, structural integrity, and energy efficiency. The IBC is widely adopted by state and local governments in the United States and around the world. The National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, is a non-profit organization that develops and publishes codes and standards related to fire safety. The NFPA's codes and standards are widely used by fire departments, building officials, and other professionals in the fire safety industry. While the IBC provides a comprehensive set of building regulations, the NFPA's codes and standards focus specifically on fire safety. The two organizations work closely together to ensure that their codes and standards are consistent and complementary. In some cases, the IBC may reference NFPA codes and standards, such as NFPA 13, Standard for the Installation of Sprinkler Systems, or NFPA 72, National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code. Considering the specific requirements for smoke detectors in habitable rooms, the NFPA 72 provides detailed guidance on the installation, testing, and maintenance of smoke detectors. This standard specifies the types of smoke detectors that are allowed, the locations where they must be installed, and the testing and maintenance procedures that must be followed. The IBC references NFPA 72 for these specific requirements. Similarly, when evaluating the requirements for electrical outlets in habitable rooms, the National Electrical Code, NEC, which is also published by the NFPA, provides detailed guidance on the installation of electrical wiring and equipment. The NEC specifies the types of outlets that are allowed, the locations where they must be installed, and the wiring methods that must be used. The IBC references the NEC for these specific requirements. It is essential to be aware of the exceptions to the habitable room requirements. Bathrooms, closets, storage rooms, garages, and unfinished basements are generally not considered habitable rooms because they are not primarily used for living, sleeping, cooking, or dining. However, it is important to note that there may be exceptions to this general rule. For example, if a basement is finished and used as a living space, it may be considered a habitable room and subject to the same requirements as other habitable rooms. Similarly, if a garage is attached to the house and has a doorway leading directly into the house, it may be considered a habitable room and require a smoke detector. Ultimately, the determination of whether a space qualifies as a habitable room depends on the specific facts and circumstances, as well as the interpretation of the local building code. The rationale for the requirement for switched outlets and smoke detectors extends beyond mere safety concerns. These requirements also contribute to the overall comfort and livability of a space. Switched outlets provide a convenient way to control lighting and power small appliances, making it easier to create a comfortable and functional living environment. Smoke detectors provide a sense of security and peace of mind, knowing that you will be alerted in the event of a fire. By creating habitable spaces that are both comfortable and safe, building owners and occupants can enhance the quality of life for themselves and others. As technology advances, new types of smoke detectors and electrical outlets are being developed. For example, there are now smoke detectors that can be connected to the internet and send alerts to your smartphone in the event of a fire. There are also electrical outlets that can be controlled remotely using a smartphone or other device. These new technologies can further enhance the safety and convenience of habitable spaces. For the placement of smoke detectors, it's crucial to understand that optimal placement can significantly impact their effectiveness. While the code specifies placement outside sleeping areas and within 10 feet of bedroom doors, consider factors like airflow patterns. Avoid placing smoke detectors near windows, doors, or air vents, as drafts can interfere with their ability to detect smoke. Also, be mindful of kitchens and bathrooms. Smoke detectors should not be placed directly in kitchens, as cooking fumes can trigger false alarms. Consider using photoelectric smoke detectors in these areas, as they are less prone to false alarms from cooking smoke. In bathrooms, avoid placing smoke detectors near showers or tubs, as steam can also trigger false alarms. Photoelectric smoke detectors are also a better option for bathrooms. When selecting smoke detectors, consider the different types available. Ionization smoke detectors are more sensitive to flaming fires, while photoelectric smoke detectors are more sensitive to smoldering fires. For optimal protection, consider using a combination of both types. Also, look for smoke detectors that have a hush feature, which allows you to temporarily silence the alarm if it is triggered by cooking smoke or other non-fire events. The interconnection of smoke detectors is a critical safety feature that should not be overlooked. Interconnected smoke detectors communicate with each other, so that if one detector senses smoke, all detectors in the house will sound an alarm. This is particularly important in large homes or homes with multiple levels, as it ensures that all occupants are alerted, even if they are in different parts of the house. Interconnected smoke detectors can be wired together or wirelessly connected. Wireless smoke detectors are easier to install, but they may be more expensive. For electrical outlets, consider the placement and type of outlets required in each room. In addition to the switched outlet required in habitable rooms, other types of outlets may be required depending on the specific use of the room. For example, bathrooms require ground fault circuit interrupter (GFCI) outlets near sinks and showers to protect against electrical shock. Kitchens require dedicated circuits for major appliances, such as refrigerators and ovens. The National Electrical Code (NEC) provides detailed guidance on the placement and type of outlets required in different areas of the home. Tamper-resistant receptacles, also known as tamper-resistant outlets, are designed to prevent children from inserting objects into the slots. These outlets have spring-loaded shutters that close off the slots when an object is not inserted with equal pressure on both sides. Tamper-resistant receptacles are required in all new construction and renovations in many jurisdictions. The NEC Section 406.12 requires tamper-resistant receptacles in dwelling units in specific locations. Arc fault circuit interrupters of size are devices that detect arc faults, which are dangerous electrical conditions that can cause fires. Arc faults occur when electricity jumps from one wire to another, creating heat that can ignite nearby materials. ASIs are designed to trip the circuit and shut off the power before a fire can start. The NEC requires ASIs in branch circuits that supply power to dwelling units, including bedrooms, living rooms, and other habitable rooms. Regular testing and maintenance are essential for ensuring that smoke detectors and electrical outlets are functioning properly. Smoke detectors should be tested monthly by pressing the test button. If the alarm does not sound, replace the batteries or the entire unit. Electrical outlets should be inspected regularly for signs of damage, such as cracks, loose wires, or discoloration. If you notice any damage, contact a qualified electrician to repair or replace the outlet. Consider local building codes and regulations. Building codes and regulations vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. It is essential to be familiar with the local codes and regulations in your area to ensure that your home meets the minimum safety standards. Your local building department can provide you with information on the codes and regulations that apply to your property. When renovating or remodeling a home, it is important to ensure that all work is done in compliance with the local building codes. This may require obtaining permits and inspections from the building department. Failure to comply with the building codes can result in fines or other penalties. Building codes and regulations are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and safety concerns. It is important to stay up to date on the latest codes and regulations to ensure that your home is safe and compliant. In addition to the requirements for switched outlets and smoke detectors, there are other important safety considerations for habitable rooms. These include proper ventilation, adequate lighting, and safe egress. Proper ventilation helps to remove stale air and moisture, preventing the growth of mold and mildew. Adequate lighting is essential for creating a comfortable and functional living environment. Safe egress ensures that occupants can safely exit the building in the event of an emergency. Carbon monoxide detectors are another important safety device that should be installed in all homes. Carbon monoxide, CO, is a colorless, odorless gas that can be deadly. CO is produced by Chinese litter appliances such as furnaces, water heaters, and stoves. CO detectors can alert you to the presence of CO in your home, giving you time to evacuate and call for help. CO detectors should be installed on every level of the home, including outside sleeping areas. The Consumer Product Safety Commission (CPSC) recommends that you test your CO detectors monthly and replace them every 5 to 7 years. Smoke alarms are a critical component of fire safety in homes, and their effectiveness is greatly influenced by proper installation, maintenance, and resident education. Placement is key. Smoke alarms should be installed on every level of the home, inside each bedroom, and outside each sleeping area. The placement outside sleeping areas is to ensure that occupants are alerted even when they are asleep. The recommendation for every level includes basements and attics, even if they are not regularly used. Avoid placing smoke alarms in or near kitchens and bathrooms where steam or cooking fumes can trigger false alarms. Keep them at least 10 feet away from cooking appliances. Also, avoid placement near windows, doors, or ducts where drafts can interfere with their operation. Maintenance is critical. Test smoke alarms monthly to ensure they are working properly. Press the test button on the alarm to sound the siren. If the alarm doesn't sound, replace the batteries immediately. Replace batteries at least once a year, or according to manufacturer's recommendations. Consider using long-life batteries that can last up to 10 years. Replace smoke alarms every 10 years, regardless of whether they are still functioning. Over time, the sensors in smoke alarms can become less sensitive. Educate all household members about smoke alarms and fire safety. Teach them what the alarm sounds like and what to do if it goes off. Practice fire drills regularly so that everyone knows how to evacuate the home safely. Ensure everyone knows the escape routes and a designated meeting place outside the home. Smoke alarms have evolved over the years, offering advanced features that enhance their effectiveness. Dual-sensor smoke alarms combine ionization and photoelectric sensors for comprehensive fire detection. They are more effective at detecting a wider range of fires, from fast-flaming fires to slow smoldering fires. Smart smoke alarms connect to your home's Wi-Fi network and send alerts to your smartphone or tablet when smoke is detected. They also provide information on the location of the smoke and the type of fire. Voice alarms provide verbal instructions during a fire, guiding occupants on how to evacuate safely. They can also be programmed to provide specific instructions for different types of emergencies. Strobe alarms are designed for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. They use a flashing strobe light to alert occupants to a fire. When planning the electrical layout of a habitable room, several factors must be considered to ensure safety, convenience, and compliance with building codes. First, consider the number of outlets needed. The NEC requires that habitable rooms have enough outlets so that occupants don't have to use extension cords, which can be a fire hazard. As a general rule, there should be an outlet every 12 feet along each wall. Also, consider the placement of outlets. Outlets should be placed near furniture and appliances to avoid long cords. They should also be placed at a convenient height, typically 12 to 18 inches above the floor. Be mindful of dedicated circuits. Certain appliances, such as refrigerators, microwave ovens, and air conditioners, require dedicated circuits to prevent overloading the electrical system. These circuits should be wired directly to the electrical panel and should not be shared with other appliances. Consider special purpose outlets. Certain areas of the home, such as bathrooms and kitchens, require special purpose outlets. Bathrooms require ground fault circuit interrupter (GFCI) outlets to protect against electrical shock. Kitchens may require 220 volts outlets for electric ranges and dryers. The NEC provides detailed guidance on the types of outlets required in different areas of the home. Arc fault circuit interrupters, as size, are designed to protect against arc faults, which are dangerous electrical conditions that can cause fires. The NEC requires a size in branch circuits that supply power to dwelling units, including bedrooms, living rooms, and other habitable rooms. The NEC Section 210.12 provides guidance. Before starting any electrical work, it is essential to obtain the necessary permits and inspections from the local building department. This ensures that the work is done in compliance with the building codes and that the electrical system is safe. Consider consulting a qualified electrician. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to consult a qualified electrician. An electrician can help you plan the electrical layout of your home, install new outlets and circuits, and ensure that the electrical system is safe and compliant. Remember, electricity can be dangerous. Always take precautions when working with electricity. Turn off the power before working on any electrical circuit. Wear rubber gloves and safety glasses. Use insulated tools. If you are not sure how to do something, consult a qualified electrician. The primary purpose of switched outlets and smoke detectors in habitable rooms is to save lives and prevent property damage. Switched outlets provide a safe and convenient way to control lighting and power small appliances, reducing the risk of electrical shock and fire. Smoke detectors provide an early warning of fire, giving occupants valuable time to escape. By adhering to the requirements for switched outlets and smoke detectors, building owners and occupants can create habitable spaces that are both comfortable and safe. These safety features are not just a matter of compliance with building codes, they are a fundamental responsibility for protecting the lives and well-being of those who occupy the space. Regular inspections and maintenance of these systems are crucial to ensure their continued effectiveness. Furthermore, educating occupants about the importance of these safety features and how they function can empower them to take proactive steps to prevent fires and respond effectively in the event of an emergency. In the context of an aging population, the importance of switched outlets and smoke detectors is amplified. Older adults may have reduced mobility, making it more difficult to reach for light switches or evacuate quickly in the event of a fire. Switched outlets placed near the floor can make it easier for older adults to control lighting, while interconnected smoke detectors can ensure that they are alerted promptly if a fire breaks out. Consider the specific needs of older adults when designing and maintaining habitable spaces, and ensure that these safety features are readily accessible and functioning properly. In addition to the code requirements, there are several voluntary measures that building owners and occupants can take to enhance fire safety in habitable rooms. These include installing fire sprinklers, using fire-resistant materials, and developing a fire evacuation plan. Fire sprinklers are highly effective at suppressing fires, and they can significantly reduce the risk of property damage and injury. Fire-resistant materials, such as fire-rated doors and walls, can help to contain a fire and prevent it from spreading. A fire evacuation plan outlines the steps that occupants should take in the event of a fire, including escape routes and a designated meeting place. By taking these additional measures, building owners and occupants can create habitable spaces that are even safer and more resilient.